Now, some people will say, I see these people walking around drinking the jugs of water. Just put it in a glass. What kind of an asshole walks around with the whole jug? Well, I have a condition where my kidneys make rocks. So you could eat my whole ass if you'd like.
Hey, do you like this show? Huh? Do you like the show enough to wear a t-shirt about it? If the answer is yes, you go to dftpa.com. And that's where they got it. Alright?
New policy alert. I make things on the internet, so I am friends with other people who do the same thing. So I hear the phrase, hey, will you hold my phone? And will you take a video for me? Will you point this video camera at me for a little while? Maybe a little more on average than other people do. And I'm not going to say any names, but the person who does it the most looks and sounds like Elliot Morgan. So now I have a new rule. He asked me to do it the other night, and normally it's fine. And I think if you asked him, does Mike normally do whatever you got to do? I think he would say yes. But the other night, it was late, and I just felt like hanging out. So I said no. And then I was given shit about saying no. And I never want that shit again. So here's the new rule for anyone. If you hand me your phone and you say, can you take a video of this? I will go into your phone and I will go into Venmo and I will send myself $150. And then I will film, you got me. That's it. That's the new deal, and I'm FDR. A lot going on at Whole Foods. I frequent that place often, not a sponsor. I went to the deli, towards the deli, because I thought I wanted a sandwich, but I didn't, and life is funny that way. When I was passing, I think fate drew me towards the deli because when I was passing, there was a man having his order taken, and he said, let me see, I wrote it down here. He said, he was enamored with the person, the delicatessen, the person making his sandwich. And he goes, dude... he goes, dude, I've been eating sandwiches for like 2 years. What you do is an art. So many questions right off the bat. What kind of life are you living so that by the time you're a 30-something-year-old man, you just got into sandwiches? Who's been protecting you from the truth all this time? Who doesn't know about sandwiches? Hey man, like it's smoking hookah or doing CrossFit or something like that. Hey man, I've always kind of heard whisperings about what you guys do here, but I've never checked it out for my own self. And now that I've gotten really into sandwiches over the past 60 days. And everyone who makes them and all the work that goes into really just everything you do. And I got hats off to you. The way that you put down one piece of bread and then see an endless flow of anything I want. And then another piece of bread. The way you wrap it up and just give it to me. Oh, man. What a gift. Two things that are kind of related to this. I was turning left into this parking lot, and there was someone behind me. I was trying to do it safely. So I waited until it was absolutely safe to do that. And there was a person behind me, older white person, always. And they didn't think that I was turning left. fast enough. They beeped at me, and then we both turned left into the Whole Foods parking lot. Now, this is my question. If we're going into the same physical parking lot and we're getting out of our metal vehicles, our safe metal vehicles, and we're going into the same building where there is no protection, I turn left when I want to, you turn left, we park next to each other. We both get out of the car. What the fuck are you going to do next? Are you going to look at me when I obviously and definitely look right at you for an extended period of time? And is the next sentence out of your mouth going to be, what's going on with that turn? Why so slow? Because we're just people now. Now I'm not a Prius and you're not a Range Rover probably. Now we're just people. So now do you get out of the car and say, I disapproved of your slow turn before when it was safe for you, so that you may turn in a way where after you get out, where you can go into the store and then afterwards go have a family if you want, because that turn was so safe. What a safe turn. That turn is so safe, I bet this motherfucker's thinking about having a future. You come at me for that, person to person, face to face after that? Think not. Think not. So I was lucky enough to remain alive and go into the store and get like anywhere between 3 or 4 objects. So I go to the 12 items or less aisle because that's where I go. Because I don't think I've ever bought more than 12 items at a time from Whole Foods, because I am not that kind of YouTuber. I don't get $20,000 to just say Gap once in a while, so I don't think I've ever bought more than 8 items at a time. No one published my book. I had to publish my own book, so I've never bought more than 7 items from Whole Foods at one time. So now, you know how they have all the like the ancillary stuff when you get up to the register, like they have cookies and little like individually wrapped chocolate things and energy bars. They put all that on where the conveyor belt would be, right? So I've been fooled twice this week. It's Tuesday. Fooled twice this week into thinking I was already buying 175 individually wrapped pieces of chocolate, but I was not. They just keep them there, right? So I like making small talk with the cashier because I'm fun. I'm a lot of fun. Invite me to your wedding. So I was like, it freaks me out. Every time I'm coming up to the 12 items or less lane, I have my 2 things and something else. I get freaked out into thinking that I'm doing something wrong. Because if you knowingly show up with more than 12 items to the 12 items or less aisle, you're a bad person. And that's it, and that's all. You think that rules don't apply to you, and you're like, well, it's only one more thing, and that's how bad things happen. So I pull up, and I'm having a fun conversation with the cashier, and I'm like, I have been tricked twice into thinking that I'm buying 200 things in the 12 items or less aisle. And she goes, nah, we just put all that stuff here so people don't think that there's room for an abundance of items. They did it to limit the space because so many people, like people behind me turning left into the parking lot, were openly being pieces of shit. If you have 13 or more items and you're trying to pass in the express lane, you deserve to have a terrible time in and out of the grocery store. Because this also happened in Whole Foods. What did I do this week? I know what I didn't do. Save money. There was a very flirtatious woman in Whole Foods, and she was being helped by 2 Whole Foods gentlemen. And she said the following 2 sentences. I have them written down. I'll show you my tattoo if I get it. So I believe the butcher was very invested in this woman's tattoo. And then she said, I'd get a belly chain if I didn't think it would fall off during you know what. And everyone knew what. because she said it loud, and she made a face like, because I mean sex, whatever face you pull when you say something like that. And then she was in the frozen food section, and they were just flirting with each other. And she goes, you know what my favorite expression is? Fuck you very much. Sometimes when I'm feeling some kind of a way, I say, fuck you very much. And then the guy she was flirting with says, well, my name's Chuck. So sometimes I say, Chuck you. And that was the least interesting conversation I've heard all week. There's a man who has been seen in and around my neighborhood who drives a car that looks like a Toyota Camry or something like that. Can't be sure, but it is fully painted with Dragon Ball Z things. And I know nothing about that except for the fact that his entire car is airbrushed and has Dragon Ball Z shit all over it. And then I looked inside his car, obviously, and he is driving with a Dragon Ball Z shirt on. Now, at some points in my life, the whole video would be about this person and how easy it would be to make fun of a person doing those things. But I am 33 years old, and I think I've realized that that person is the realest motherfucker in my neighborhood. By leaps and bounds. I don't think that anyone who lives within a 10-mile radius of me is living their truth harder than that person. And my hat is off to them. And I'm pretty sure that's all I have to say about that. How do you hang out with a rich person? Like, what do they eat? If you're in two completely different economic, what do? Hope they like coffee as well? And you take them to the nicest place that you're aware of that works with your budget, and they lower themselves just enough to be like, this place is fine. Honest question. I don't have the answers. I wish this was a Twitter poll. Are any of you rich? Let me know what you do, like on Wednesdays. What do rich people do on Wednesdays? Me and Zoya were watching TV this morning, and we're watching that press conference with those two Russian guys, and there was a commercial for Kellogg's that came on, and it started out with a bunch of slow motion shots of women, and it said women are strong and women are fearless, and that was all very nice. And then it said, you know what powers us? And then they said strawberries, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. And then they were like, and you know what goes great with strawberries? Kellogg's Cornflakes. And I was immediately confused by what was happening, because I don't know. Obviously, in 2018, women's empowerment and equality for women is at the forefront of most conversations that happen. And I don't know that it's honest to prey on that emotion and to use that to manipulate you into buying cornflakes. Do you need to? There are so many things you could say before all of the things that you said. I think it's great to see women in positions of power and women supporting women. But to say, hey, you know how you feel about this? Well, feel that way while you're buying Kellogg's Cornflakes. That's weird, right? Like when they do dungarees commercials or they say it's built for tough. Are you, dude, and you got a lot to move? Are you moving dirt? Do you put a bunch of dirt in the back of your truck and you go across the country in your dungarees? Well, you got a tough job and you got hard hands. And it's about time you got a truck that was only designed for how tough and how manly you are. This is a Ford truck. What they should be saying is, do you have a lot of shit that you got to take to the dump? Yes or no? And do you buy a truck because you could put more shit in the back of this truck? Like for the Kellogg's commercial, they used strawberries as a unsuspecting middle person. Hey, do you like women's empowerment? Absolutely. Well, women are powered by strawberries. Okay. By the end of the commercial, it wasn't even about women's empowerment. It was just about how well cornflakes go with strawberries. But they start by making everything in slow motion and tugging at your heartstrings by playing piano music a little bit in the background and talking about something that's like very zeitgeisty, right? If I'm wrong and I'm missing the point, someone fix me, please. But my mom blessed me with a lot of common sense, and I don't think I am. Speaking of which, Friends and Friends Crowd Work Show is on the 21st in West Hollywood at the Open Space, and I'll put a link to tickets beneath this giant jug of water that I'm using so my own organs don't kill me at some point. And then Welcome to Our Podcast comes out on Mondays. Me and Zoya talked about what I just talked about to a larger extent, and we had a good laugh, and I cried a little bit laughing, and she's very funny. And you could sponsor the channel if you want. A lot of people are like, how do we see... Oh, this is a perfect example. If you sponsor the channel, you get to see a full Friends and Friends crowd work show. So if you're some part of the country where I don't do that show, and that show doesn't happen, and you want to see what it's all about, all these comics going up there, what is crowd work? It's when comedians don't use any of their material and they just talk to the audience. And it's terrifying, but it's also great when it works out. You could see a whole one of those shows by sponsoring the channel. Like these people do. All these people's names who just popped up, they could all watch that show right now if they want. And then you could be one of those people. Oh. Lastly, I'm a Johnny Cupcakes affiliate now. This is crazy. After years of wearing Johnny Cupcakes stuff, just because I liked it, he was like, hey man, we've met each other a couple times. How would you like to be an affiliate? Which means that once in a while, I'll give you a link to some Johnny Cupcake stuff. And if you buy it through my link, I get a little kickback on it. Isn't that nice and honest and transparent? I used to wear Johnny Cupcake shirts exclusively every video. And there were always people being like, what is that shirt? And I told him for years for free. And now he's like, you deserve a couple bucks for that. Isn't that nice? Companies do that sometimes. I gotta stop looking back and forth between the cameras because that means more editing for me. I'm gonna go get some water. You guys are at a crowd work show right now. It's also called the Friends and Friends Show because I only book my friends. But we'll know if you're leading them on.
Tell the truth.
Zach.